So I think everyone in this audience knows what MAVLink is. Some of you will have engaged with it more directly than others, but everyone is using it if you're using ArduPilot or Mission Planner or MavProxy or any of the tools that we use. The presentation that we have today is basically a reduced version of one we gave 2 years ago. That might sound a little bit boring, but it's actually something that we deliberately do within MAVLink, which is control the rate of change within the protocol. It is such an important API that if we change it, we can break things very, very quickly. So yes, it might not look like we've done much, but some of that's deliberate just so that we do maintain some stability in the API. The link's on the page there. Best resource, if you can get hold of him, is Peter Barker for implementing MAVLink. He'll hate me for saying that, but he is great. And I only say that because you can never get hold of Tridge, who would otherwise be the best resource for implementing MAVLink. All of those things do evolve slowly over time. Hamish puts a lot of effort into maintaining them. A lot of people throughout the community support that. If you do have questions on those things when we get to the end, noting this is only a 20-minute session, then we'll do a little bit of Q&A, but I think that most of those questions are going to be focused on the next couple of little tidbits that we're going to go through.
Yeah, so when you're contributing, I guess the thing that, leading to the fact we did this a few years ago and had this talk, most of the things are the same, and most of the pain points are the same. So we are going to go over this again. Common.xml is where most of the messages have historically gone, and it's a bit of a misnamed thing because there's a lot of stuff that isn't common in there. There's a lot of stuff that's never been implemented anywhere, but we don't know what it is. There's a tendency for people to contribute things that they think everyone will want that turns out that people don't want. Am I skipping ahead, old slide? Probably. Anyway, best I should just read it. Okay, if you're contributing, please contribute into Common. If you're contributing, please first put it into MAVLink repo. Obviously, you may need to discuss it, and this happens quite often in the ArduPilot community first, but because we do want it to be common or as close to shared as possible, we definitely want to make sure that we can bring the people in who will say, no, we don't want it. And it's similar when you're working in the other communities. We want to make very sure that ArduPilot is going to welcome an idea is good. So first up, MAVLink. But if you are making changes in ArduPilot.xml, ArduPilot.xml, do that in the ArduPilot MAVLink repo. And I pull that up automatically, verbatim, every couple of weeks via CI, which can break things. Quite exciting, living on the edge. And the last thing here is custom dialects. We talked a lot more about these last time, so if you want to find out more, look at them, go and look at the old talk. But the main point here is I don't encourage them. It's a maintenance burden if you use custom messages. Obviously, if you have to and you don't want to work with every GCS that's out there already, go for it. But you'll be much better off if you can work through the slightly torturous process of working with us.
The key reason, obviously sometimes there's good reasons to use custom dialects and manage those things yourself, but one of the key benefits in having a standard API such as MAVLink is interoperability, and if you go and vary from that through your own implementations, then obviously you lose that interoperability. If people do want to be doing their own dialects, again, that might be just a sidebar conversation that we can have as to how to manage that. The key thing is that if you are going to do it, reach out to us, reserve a message range so that you don't conflict with anybody else who's using custom dialects as well.
Okay, so for the last 6 or 7 or 8 years, however long I've been on this, we've been trying to have some sort of process for managing change. That process is currently we will allow semantically non-breaking additions, and we oppose pretty much everything else. That would be fair. And we've tried at various points to put in some sort of project management. We've tried to put in some tagging. Some of those PRs have been sitting there for years. None of it's absolutely vital, but it would be nice to get some of it in eventually. And we now have a new and cunning plan to reach closer to some kind of management and to break some of these pain points that we've got where people want to get things in common, but we can't. We know they're probably not going to be common for a very long time or standard for a very long time. And we're not planning on taking anything that couldn't be standard, but we would like to be able to take things that aren't going to be implemented everywhere straight away. So what we're doing there is, where's your button? Yeah? Find a button for me, please. Is that we're going to move as much as we can from common.xml into standard.xml. That means the things that are either truly common or can be made truly common, and we've started a little bit of this work, and mostly working with Peter. Processes essentially where we chat about what we think might be common, we do a bit of testing, we then synchronise MAVLink and ArduPilot MAVLink for the set of messages that we want to move in, and then we move them in all places at once across. And we're hoping at the end of the process that we'll have a relatively, a much thinner common and a much cleaner, a clean standard where people can look at that and say, yeah, this really is standard. And if it isn't standard, we know which bits aren't standard. We have discoverable ways.
So I guess pulling that into the framework that we've been building out over the last few years. So we brought in minimal.xml probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
I think, yep.
Minimal.xml to give the minimal implementation of what you need to participate in the MAVLink network. Standard.xml has been part of the repo for a long time, but it was just a single line include of common.xml. We've flipped that around so that common now includes standard rather than standard including common, and started moving those truly common messages into standard. And that, the intent there is so that standard.xml, when paired with minimal.xml, will give a truly common implementation of a basic MAVLink participant.
And we're planning on being pretty hardcore on that. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Now, we haven't updated this for 2 years. We're going to talk to it. We have actually evolved this across the course of the last week as far as the thinking there. So this is probably where the conversation is going to go, noting it's already come up twice today and a number of times earlier in the week, but about basically moving MAVLink forward to deal with larger networks. You've seen one example of why we might want to do that through the light show discussion earlier today with the 255
nodes.
Yeah, participants for system IDs. The other reason that we get asked about this regularly is not just those large activities like a drone light show, but some companies that want to manage large fleets with basically unique serial numbers for each of their drones. Whether that's a large operator or whether it's a vendor that wants to be able to uniquely identify their drones. So there's quite a lot of pressure from different parts of the industry to fix this, and that pressure is kind of increasing pretty regularly. What it's going to look like is not actually this RFC completely at this point. It's the intent is to move to full 32-bit addressing. So if you wanted to, you could put a full IP address in there, although it won't be necessarily tied to IP addressing. And the intent there is to basically start working on that very, very quickly. And thanks to Tridge for putting forward this RFC and being part of those conversations since, and B, volunteering to do all the work. So thanks. But there's going to be quite a lot of tooling change with that, as well as just the actual design.
I'd like an aside here. I think people have been asking about this for a very long time, and I think maybe the RFC went in from Tridge 2 or 3 years ago. At that point, everybody was kind of, yeah, this is a really great idea. You know, there's some issues that we're not sure about, need some prototyping. The MAVLink team, us and a couple of other people are involved, don't do work, okay? We have meetings, we discuss, we try and collaborate and bring people in, but the actual implementation of anything into MAVLink has to come from you and other members of various drone communities. So this is the main reason this has been waiting, because it did require an implementation, and so it's quite exciting that we're now here. If there's something you see in an RFC or a message that you're interested in, don't just sit there and think, oh, it'll never happen. Come ask us who's responsible, what can we do to move this forward? Because the people who can do the work are often, you know, their time is stretched. So you need to come and make them aware that this is important to you too, and maybe they'll outsource some of the work to you.
Yep. Yeah, that was coming.
This would be great. What can we do to move it forward?
Tell Tridge to work harder, not smarter. Tridge, would you like to say anything about this?
Yeah, prompted by the Light Show talk, I've actually started a branch and started working on it, and it decided to do the, after my RFC years ago, it's going to be, I've decided to go 32-bit system IDs, just because in the sorts of environments we have that many vehicles, the extra 2 bytes isn't worth saving, and the simplicity of being able to map IPv4 addresses directly into system ID is worth it. It will be a little bit of an API change in the code to do the target systems, because the target systems are in line in the message structures. And so what I'm doing is there will be some new little methods that ArduPilot will be using when it needs to set the target ID. There's an extra little API wrapper to be able to set the target ID on a message. But it's going to be backwards compatible in the sense that it's the same code running, and as it's constructing the packet to put it on the wire, if the system ID that it needs to put in there is 255 or less, if it fits in 8-bit, then it will be a current MAVLink 2 packet. But if it's more, then it adds the extra incompatible flag bit in the header, which says this is the new one, right? So it will mean that only those who are actually utilising IDs greater than 255 will be paying the additional cost, and that keeps us completely backwards compatible with the existing ground stations and tooling. And because of the semantics of the incompatible flag, even mixtures of ones that understand and don't understand should work, where a ground station that doesn't understand these new messages just won't see the messages that have IDs that are outside the range. So that's the plan, but we'll see how it works out.
Will you still pull the header out of the payload, the target stuff out of the payload as a compatibility bit, as well, I guess it has to be an incompatibility bit, even below 255 or whatever? Because I know that routers and whatever would like to be able to parse those messages without passing the CRC extra check.
Yeah, I haven't decided whether I'm going to include the CRC extra part of the RFC. I'm going to see how that works out. My inclination at the moment is not to change the CRC. This was trying to address 2 separate issues, and given how long it's taken to get an implementation, they can be addressed separately. So my inclination is to address the 32-bit wide system ID separately from the routing issue. The routing issue comes up when you've got like an RFD 900X and a new message gets added to the message set, and without that CRC, it has difficulties in the routing task when it wants to route within, say, a mesh network. But I think I'll do that as a separate task, so to not hold up the one that more people need right now, which is the 32-bit ID.
Thank you.
Right, who's next? We might as well we seem to have jumped straight into the Q&A question bit, so let's just do that. And we'll close with that. There's always, we do need more help. more participants, more testing, more contribution, and I think that's a common theme through most open source projects. So if you're interested in MAVLink, then please just reach out, get involved, turn up to the dev call. MAVLink dev calls are only every 2 weeks, and we basically lock them on a hard hour, so it's not too huge a time impost, and it is a Europe-friendly time for that call.
It's not a dev call, ArduPilot dev call friendly time though, is it?
No. So if you do the Europe ArduPilot dev call, you kind of can't do the MAVLink dev call, they're at the same time. But apart from that, it's a good time for Europe and for Australia. Any other questions? There's got to be some.
I'll ask us a pretend question. One of the other ones that came. Okay. Yeah.
I don't see Discord up there. Do you guys have a Discord server?
There are Discord channels for MAVLink in both the ArduPilot and the DroneCode Discord servers.
Okay.
Oh, and also the DroneCan Discord server, there's a MAVLink channel as well.
Yeah, there are 3. I monitor the one on the PX4 area, and I look for my name tagged everywhere because I don't get messages unless I'm specifically tagged anywhere on Discord. I think it's an abomination. Yeah, if I'm tagged, and I will answer, and I will chase things up for you, and James is actually busy everywhere as well. So yeah.
But the dev call or tag an issue, yep.
GitHub?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yep. Okay, so the other one that came up was the parameter protocol, having the ability to report errors. I haven't been really much on Git in the last 2 weeks, but Peter's already put in a PR. I've looked at it. I'm not sure whether it was tagged, whether it was in development or tagged WIP, but aside from that, I haven't run into anybody who doesn't like the idea, so we will probably just rubber stamp that once we've made sure we've got the proper agreement. And then it will be implemented as soon as Peter works harder and not smarter. When will that be?
I'm still working through the Hamish Willee.
Fair enough. If that's all.
Super. Thank you very much. Round of applause, please. Round of applause.